we put a call out for like a 45-year-old man, and this 75-year-old man sent through a clip of him dragging a body through a bush.
So then, yeah, hopefully you get the money and then you've got a plan for it. But if you don't get any funding, it's not going to stop you from making the film.
Less of those like blank stares.
The sentences don't make any sense.
Okay. Yeah, and hopefully they're not watching this.
Sort of talking about Frank and Frank, what was the timeline like for a full feature film like this? And how did you fit in the time amongst your everyday responsibilities?
We filmed the whole thing in 2 weeks and 5 days, so it was very
Oh, wow.
very condensed. But we didn't work.
Yeah.
We didn't have like super long days. I think the average day was about 7 hours. So
Mhm.
we didn't like
Okay.
we weren't killing the actors.
Yeah, that's
do that.
important.
There's a scene. There's multiple scenes with a wife of the character, and we only had that actress for 7.5 hours, and we had to film
Mhm.
all her scenes in that time. That
Mhm.
was probably that's when you're really relying on the actors, because if you just can't do that unless they're really well prepared. And
Mhm.
thankfully, thank God, all of the actors were super prepared. So, and again, the style of film that we're doing is dialogue heavy and performance and character heavy. So
Mhm.
we, if the actors are on point, which they were, you can do 8 or 9 pages a day if that scene is in that one area.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Um,
Yeah.
so that works in our favor as well. And then as
Mhm.
a writer, you have to write to make that easy for yourself. You try and you
Mhm.
try to write it so you can do those kinds of things. The work the My partner, who's the co-producer and the editor, her father passed away in the middle of the shooting that we
Oh,
were.
wow.
Yeah, so we had to move the last week or the last 5 days. We had to move that. So we had to kind of reschedule the whole film during it while we were doing it. Um,
Mhm.
yeah, but it's just like you were saying, Aiden, if you want to do it, you'll find out a way to work it out.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and then as far as working, we paid ourselves $1,000 a week. We paid the crew $1,000
Mhm.
a week. So while we
Mhm.
were shooting, we could put the real life stuff on hold for a few weeks and just kind of
Oh, yeah, that's
what
nice.
we
Mhm.
what we needed to cover. But
Yep.
a big part of our philosophy of like life itself is to try and keep your debt responsibility low as possible. So you're not in a
Mhm.
position where you need to work 50, 60 hours a
Mhm.
week to maintain a lifestyle. So
Mhm.
um, I think that's yeah. For me, that's like really important for anyone that
Mhm.
wants to be like an art, quote unquote artist.
Mhm.
Your relationship with the amount of debt that you carry is really important,
Yep.
as it gives you
Mhm.
freedom, gives you time, basically.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so if we need to, yeah, we can take 3 or 4 weeks off.
Mhm.
And it's not going to be, we don't have to ask permission for anybody to give us that time off. We can just say, all right, well, we're not going to be we're not doing any other enterprises. This is what we're doing.
Mhm. Yeah.
Uh, yeah, people react differently to that when I mentioned that. Someone came up at a Q&A screening and they said that they wanted their 14-year-old to get it. He wanted to make films, and what was the advice? And my advice was to start his superannuation fund right now. Um,
Yeah.
like, what? I
Yep.
don't. What are you talking about? So, but it's really important. Yeah,
Yeah.
if you can
And it's
keep.
kind of funny that way. Yeah. I think that is important because, yeah, when people want to get into film or whatever kind of art, um, they're kind of only thinking about that and they kind of ignore the business side of it. They
Yeah,
they ignore they ignore thinking about those kind of details. Or yeah, like you you should learn to be good with money. Like you should learn to be good with all these other things and not just the skills for making the movie.
Yeah, and there's no stress like money stress
Yeah.
to ruin your life. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You don't have the energy
Yeah.
to think about your third act if someone's
Yeah.
knocking on your door to turn the electricity off. You know what I mean? It's like,
Hmm.
yeah, and this isn't like just me. Like Jane Austen said this. This is not. It's not a new idea. You gotta cover your base a little bit. So yeah, I just
Yeah.
find it really really important. Um,
Mm.
and
Yeah, it's like people wouldn't think of like superannuation and things like that as sexy topics. But I mean, if you get good at these things, it means you're gonna have more money and be able to sort of do whatever you want when you want to do it. That sounds like a pretty sexy thing to me. Like I
that
do my budgeting with my spreadsheets and whatnot, and when I
yeah,
do that, it helps me figure out where everything needs to go and how much I need, and it makes it possible to actually do these things. And to me, that's pretty cool.
that's very sexy. It should be called sexy annuation.
Hey,
I think it should
that's
because
it.
like if you're 16 years old, like this is a crazy example, but if you're 16 years old and you want to be a surfer, you
Yeah.
can go, you if you put $50 a week into your superannuation from the age of 16
Hmm.
and then spent
Hmm.
35 years surfing all around the world and maybe working as a bartender every now and then or something like that. But yet you earned enough
Yeah.
50 bucks away. When you come back and you're 55, you'll have multiple millions of dollars in that superannuation account waiting, and you can
Yeah.
spend your entire
Hmm.
30 years surfing, making films, writing books, doing ballet, whatever the hell it is you
Hmm.
want to do, and you're still okay and you can still look after, hopefully you've met someone along that time in 30 years and you'd be able to
Yeah.
yeah. So, yeah, again,
Yeah.
I'm laboring the point, but I think that's just really important.
Yeah. Just all these like fundamental skills that people don't really think they need or just don't think about in general, but
Yeah,
it's crucial.
yeah. Well, it's like you
If
doing
they
your
want to do well,
15
it's
minutes.
crucial.
Yeah, if they wanna do well, you've gotta do you doing your 15 minutes of writing, during your lunch break. Like,
Mm.
the payoff for
Yeah.
that comes 12 months later. Yeah, so
Hmm.
it's good to think
Yeah.
in a wider time frame other than yeah, I've got 30 minutes. How can I enjoy this 30 minutes? I like the fact that you ate for the first
Yeah.
15 minutes and then wrote. That's a nice touch. Yeah,
Yeah.
very good.
Yeah. I have to eat the food at some point, you know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Sometimes I do like maybe put on a tutorial or something while I'm eating,
Oh
and then
wow,
I get into work. But yeah,
you're getting everything out of the time, aren't you? Yeah, that's good.
yeah. I squeeze, you know, like yeah.
Yeah.
So like every morning of every work day is scheduled for me. So like I wake up at 5. I go to the gym and then I walk, you know, like for this amount of time, and then I walk the dog for this amount of time, and then I have this amount of time to like
Yeah, right.
shower and get dressed and get everything ready, and then I've got this amount of time to like do a bit of editing before I got to head off and go to work, and then during
Wow.
work is a very similar
Did,
structure.
did someone teach you this, or did your life fall apart and then you were
No,
like, oh,
this
put this
I
together, or what? How come you're so focused?
these are things that I've kind of learned just a little bit over a long period of time, and just making small adjustments to my lifestyle until it got to this point. And a lot of people will sort of ask me about it, and they'll be like, "That sounds so like strict and restrictive and limited and stuff like that." But it doesn't feel like that way to me at all. Like because I'm able to get so many things done.
Yeah.
I don't have to having discipline in some areas allows freedom in other areas.
Oh,
So the
absolutely.
fact that I'm able to do yeah, so the fact that I'm able to do all of these things, and you know, like I am going to the gym and I'm working on my health and well-being and everything at the same time, and it allows me to do so many more things, and I still have plenty of rest time during the week. So
Yeah.
like in the evenings when I get home from work, I'm not allowed to yeah, like again, I'm not allowed to like do any stressful work or anything. It's just sitting in the room and just writing, which that's not too stressful. That's kind of relaxing, really.
Yeah. Yeah. You got to schedule the downtime as well as
Yeah.
as the work time. Yeah. That's
Yeah,
super.
and then
That's
every now and then, you know, especially if I've been, you know, doing good with all of my to-do lists and everything, then I might even just put in a whole day of just video games for myself, you know. So
Nice.
I still get that time, you know.
Yeah, yeah, good for you, man. That's great.
Yeah, and yeah, so like I was saying, doing these things, I've learned a lot of it from filmmaking, you know, because I made, you know, back when I made the first feature film, which was during COVID and everything, I was just learning so much stuff about scheduling. I was learning about how much I can fit into certain amounts of time. And then maybe, yeah, you know, like maybe that actor isn't available. So then I got to find out some kind of creative thing to do in the schedule to make it
Yeah.
all work. And then I just, you know, translated that into my personal life as well.
Yeah, that's brilliant. Yeah. I found there's a real art form to that scheduling.
Yeah, there really is. Yeah. Doing that film, I always like refer to it as creative scheduling, you know, because we're making this whole film course. I feel like I could make an entire course just on scheduling. And again, I know that wouldn't necessarily sound like a sexy topic, but to me, that would get me excited, you know?
Scheduling and split graduation. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
Yeah. And like the other thing that I've started to really enjoy doing this year in particular is analytics. I love looking at analytics, and I could talk all day about analytics, and like it just, you know, lights the fire inside where normal people it would probably go to sleep.
Yeah, no, that's great. You definitely sound like a natural producer, Aidan. Yeah. When we were scheduling Frank and Frank, it was good to have certain scenes first, have kind of lighter where the guys could kind of get to know each other and just ease into it, kind of not throw everyone in the deep end, including the crew. Like, it's just a really interesting. And I had no idea until you were doing it. It was like, oh, this is actually really important. This could change the tone of everything that we do, depending on the order that we do it. So yeah, it was super interesting.
Yeah, I heard a few years back, I forget who said it. You know, like maybe they know their actors really well, and they know that this person typically does better in the mornings, and this person typically does better in the evenings or something. So they'll kind of, you know, maybe they're filming like a conversation for that day or something. So then they'll focus the shots on that character during that time of the day, and then they'll switch to that actor for the other time of the day, just because they know how they work.
Yep. No, it's very interesting.
All these sneaky little things that you learn from doing, I guess.
Yeah.
What stage of filmmaking do you find the most challenging, and which part is your favorite?
Oh, I enjoy the writing probably most of all, Aidan.
Yeah,
that's really that's super playful. I really, really enjoy that.
Cool.
Probably that casting is a lot of fun, but for probably the wrong reasons. So
okay.
When you get
what are those wrong reasons? I'm curious now.
Well, we put out we always put out open calls for all the role. So even though we ended up with like Trevor and Miles, and we're getting Travis Jeffrey and Peter Rosethorn from Frederickstown, but we always put out open calls until we've got the person that that we want, and you just get sent the most insane, crazy, of like madness. And it's kind of I shouldn't say it, but it's like a guilty pleasure to sit and just watch them. We put a call out for like a 45-year-old man, and this 75-year-old man sent through a clip of him dragging a body through a bush, and that. The screenplay didn't have any dead bodies being dragged through. It had nothing to do with that at all. But for him,
and then later on, he's like, "Oh, sorry, wrong file."
Oh no, he doubled down and he was like, oh, "This is my best work, and I wanted to show it to you."
Okay.
Yeah. So I mean, you obviously you respect everyone's passion, and you keep that guy on file if you do need a 75-year-old man. But I think some people just like. The Hail Mary in American football when they just throw a Hail Mary down the end. I think that happens a lot, and it's I shouldn't say it, but it's fun. It's fun to watch. Yeah.
Yeah. No. Yeah. I know exactly what you mean, because whenever we get we put up a character and people apply for it, it's like, did you did you read it really?
Yeah,
Do you know what this role is?
yeah. You don't look like agent at all, mate. Yeah, yeah. This is
Yeah, yeah.
so.
Yeah, because
Uh,
like yeah, because there was a point where I can't remember what project it was, but I was putting up a listing and it required like an Aboriginal actor, and then I had just all these people applying, and just none of them were Aboriginal at
yeah,
all. And
yeah,
I was like, this is weird that you're applying for this, you
yeah,
know?
yeah, and illegal, I think, as well. If you're,
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then I think someone like commented on that thing saying like this is such like a dodgy post and everything just because of the people that were applying for it. And yeah, and I was like, no, like I'm real. I'm real. It's not a scam or anything.
that can be good. And the other thing is finding the music to go with the scenes. That's really special when you find the piece of music that makes the scene just turn and work. Um, that it can
Yeah.
be that can be quite stressful if you can't find it and you're trying to find it.
Mhm.
It's been 6 weeks and you still haven't found it,
Mhm.
and you know that it will work, but you just everything that you've tried hasn't worked. Yeah, that can be, and then you kind of this like dread of panic kind of sits in, like, oh, we might have to cut the scene, but then again, I've only made 2 films, so it's only happened twice. So, and then when you do find it and it just comes completely alive,
Yeah.
that's very exciting. That's really, really, yeah,
Mm.
that's a good feeling. So,
Yeah,
um,
music is very important. Yeah, like music is the thing that can set the genre. Like,
yeah,
yeah, I think I saw like a meme or a video from Jordan Peele a couple, I don't know, a month ago or something, and he was saying that like the difference between a comedy and a horror is the music. And of course, there's a few differences, but
yeah,
but the concept.
yeah. I saw Seinfeld set to Twin Peaks music, and
Yeah.
it was equally terrifying. It was the episode where Kramer was going to leave to go to Los Angeles, and him and George are in the coffee shop talking,
Yeah.
and it was so ominous. It was like, oh my god! And they took the laugh track out as well. George was like having an existential crisis, and Kramer was leaving, maybe forever, and it was just like, oh my god, what's going to happen here? Uh, so
Yeah,
yeah,
and then there's that funny example from The Hobbit where it has that scene where one character is about to fight one of the ugly like orc characters, and they put like some like raunchy seductive music in there as well as
oh
like
yeah, 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 yeah,
yeah, it's like, oh, this actually weirdly works and the timing is
yeah.
you know
We might make some money with this film, with this version.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly, yeah. Yeah, cool. And then what was the most challenging part?
Oh man, probably the fundraising. Even yeah,
Mm, yeah.
fundraising is probably the hardest bit.
Hmm.
Even though we've got the feature, the Great Southern Co-op, that's still
Hmm.
really really challenging. And then when you're on set and you're up against the clock, that's probably challenging. And that moment when the scene is not working and the actor looks at you and says, "What do you think?" and you have no idea what's going on, no idea what's going to make this work.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But of course you can't let them know that as well. You need to be the authority on the set, so you sort of like you just try to
yeah,
come up with something in the moment.
yeah, and hopefully they're not watching this. We always try and make it as collaborative as possible. So
Mm. Hmm.
yeah, you put on your best thinking face and then
Hmm.
nod and then
Yeah.
interesting. Yeah,
I think collaboration is great. Yeah, like if because there are plenty of times where I might get stuck on set, and then I just kind of open it up to the room, like, what do you guys think? And then people
yeah.
start bringing ideas. I was like, perfect. That's exactly what we need.
What do you guys think? We think you're an idiot, Adam, and you shouldn't be corrected. No,
Yeah. Well, hopefully they don't say that, but
yeah, they say that internally. They say that inside. Yeah, but
mm,
yeah, no, we being that collaborative is really nice because it gives everyone ownership of the
mhm,
film. Uh,
mm,
and then particularly for the films that we make, it's really character performance. So the actors, I think, work out quickly that this film's either going to work or not based on
mhm,
how they are performing.
yeah,
And then if you welcome all their ideas, because
yeah,
they've got plenty, Yeah, it just makes for a really fruitful shoot, and you get less of those like blank stares.
I think that's one of my favorite moments when when I'm working with the actors and then they come to me and like, oh hey, how about, can I try the scene and can I do it this way and can I do this and that, and it's like, absolutely, go for it, yes, like have
Yeah.
fun, yeah, as long as it kind of works with the story, but yeah, like absolutely go for it.
Yeah, and even if it doesn't work, you can sort that out in the
Mm,
editing. You don't have to use
hmm.
their takes, obviously.
Yeah.
But if they're confident to try things and offer
Hmm.
up things, that's where you really want to be.
Hmm.
Because if you've got someone that is able to if you've got a great actor, there's usually some solid creative thinking going on in that
Hmm.
person's head. Usually,
Yeah.
not always, but usually there is. So yeah, you want to mine as much of
Hmm.
that as possible, and you don't know what's going to work in the edit.
Hmm.
So if they want to do try a take that's completely left of center of what you thought, I let them do it, because it might be exactly
Mm.
what you need 6 months later when you're
Mm.
trying to put the film together. Um,
Yeah, and it definitely helps as a director in a few ways because like when I'm working with my actors, I want them to feel safe, I want them to feel comfortable, even
yeah,
though maybe the context of the story isn't necessarily safe and comfortable. And so I might sort of dial things down a notch in the script, but then yeah, so for Heretics, there's this one scene where like one of the bad guys basically kidnaps the main character, and then the two actors that were involved were like coming to me and they were like they were like asking if they could try these things to make the scene more creepy. And I was like, if you both of you are okay with it, then absolutely go for
yeah, yeah,
it.
and try it naked.
Yeah. I mean, none of them have asked if they can go nude in any of these scenes, but I suppose it might happen at some point.
Yeah, it's happened. It's happened to us. So
Oh,
yeah,
really? Oh
yeah,
gosh. Okay.
that's it. Yeah. What I won't say any more than that, but yeah.
So I guess that means you didn't go with that idea.
No, we didn't. No.
It's like the movie is perfectly normal, and then there's just one scene
Yeah,
where
what was that? What was that about? Yeah. That is
uh,
extroverts. That's what that is. Yeah.
that's hilarious.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Okay, so what do you believe are some of the key skills that you've learned from making films?
I'm definitely more of an introvert than an extrovert, so
Okay.
that throws you into having to be social and talk and
Hmm. Hmm.
act like a regular human being. Yeah, so because I think as the director slash producer, you're managing everyone's dynamic all the time. Uh,
Hmm.
so even on a small set like ours, we've still got 7, 8, 9, depending on the scene, maybe 10 or 11 people
Hmm.
involved.
Yep.
You might have a scene where there's a few extras, and so you've got to kind of keep everyone happy, and yeah, just kind of. It's an odd role to play, because
Hmm.
obviously people get tired, people have their egos.
Yep.
Um, and I'm not talking even about the actors. Like the crew they've got their egos. Even if even if they're really really lovely people, if they get their nose out of joint, you've got to be able to put it back in place before that gets out of hand. And yeah, and you need to do that respectfully. So I
Hmm.
think, yeah, I think maybe that's probably the main thing. I've never experienced that before. Uh,
Hmm.
so it's nice to know that you're able to do that in
Hmm.
in what is a really high pressure
Yep.
situation where everyone is hyper concentrating for a long period of time, 6 7 hours a day. Everyone
Yep.
is locked in.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's a lot of stress to manage and mitigate. And um, it was a surprise to know that I'm okay, and that yeah, I can make
Yeah.
people who are doing something difficult feel comfortable.
Yeah. It can definitely be a bit scary at first, especially if you're doing the director role, because naturally, like everyone is looking to you for the answers. Everyone's asking you the questions, and
Yeah,
yeah, like at first that can absolutely be scary, but then I think after you do it for a while, that's one of the best things about making films, because it just gives such a boost to your motivation and your confidence, and it gives you all of those skills, so you just feel so much more able. So
Yeah.
I think filmmaking can be like really great for introverts in particular, because it'll just help them just discover this whole new side of themselves.
Yeah. And then when you do the publicity at the other end, you have to,
Mm,
yeah, it's an extension of that. So
yeah.
um, we've had quite a few Q&As where there hasn't been like an MC, or there hasn't even been like a microphone. So you've got
Yeah.
to stand up in the movie theater and turn around and say, "Hi, we actually made this," and then you have a screen middle of the cinema. Yeah, you end up just doing very strange, odd things,
Hmm.
and then they just
Yeah.
become normal after a while, I suppose.
Yeah, yeah. I've been quite fortunate, because I'm not entirely well, I know a bit why, but like I've always been a bit of an attention seeker, so I actually really enjoy speaking in front of people. Like
Oh wow, okay,
I actually quite enjoy having like a room in front of me and a microphone in my hand.
yeah, right,
Uh,
really,
yeah,
really,
yeah. It started in high school. Just all of a sudden, there was one day where I was terrified, and then there was another day where I just got into it.
really.
Um, yeah, and now like if I'm standing in front of a room, I just have fun with it. That's all.
Yeah, good for you, man. That's
Yeah,
fantastic.
yeah, yeah. I know, it's like it's such a strange thing, because everyone always talks about everyone has like a fear of death, and the only thing above that is a fear of public speaking. But
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know.
So your course scheduling, superannuation, and public speaking. That's
Yeah, yeah,
sounds
that's
like
it. Yeah,
great. Yeah, I'd
yeah,
sign up for that,
yeah.
man, for sure.
Yeah, so hopefully I can help people with all three of those things, because they don't
Oh,
like talking about either of them.
yeah, you'll be turning lives around, man. You'll be doing
What advice would you give for anyone looking to start out in film, or for anyone who is considering starting their first feature film?
I would say just make a feature film. Give yourself 12 months and have a feature film made in 12 months. Even if you don't show it to anybody, it's not if you do it at your own time schedule, it's not even a grueling, it's just a really enjoyable thing.
Hmm.
It's like everyone should like drive around Australia once in their lives. Like everyone should probably make a feature film. The cost of entry is less than $5,000. If you're like
Hmm.
watching this on a laptop, you can download Adobe Premiere Pro to edit it for, I think it's free, is it? Or is it $20?
I know that. I know that DaVinci is free.
DaVinci's free. I think Adobe
Yeah.
might be free.
Hmm.
And then if you have Steven Soderbergh made those two films on an iPhone 8, I think.
Yeah.
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 So if
Uh
you've
huh.
got a phone in your pocket and you've got a laptop, you don't even
Hmm.
need $5,000. Uh,
Yeah. The feature film that we did that for around 4,500.
yeah. Okay. So
Yeah.
the one thing I would say is that if you can't do a particular thing, make sure you get someone that can do that particular thing, or learn how to do that particular thing. So if you can't work out how to operate the camera, get someone to do that, who knows what they're doing. And the same goes for the script. If you can't write a script, the danger is you might not know that you can't write a script.
Yeah.
You might, so that might be tricky. But then you have to be careful with who you show your script to, because they might tell you it's bad, but they might not know either. So
Mm.
that might be like the hardest one. But if you can
Hmm.
find, if you can't if you can't write a script, go find a writer who can, or go find a novelist, or yeah, go find someone that can write it for you, and just keep it as simple
Hmm.
as possible.
Hmm.
When we made Edward and Isabella, I saw a German film called Stations of the Cross, and the whole
Hmm.
film, it's a 90-minute film, but it's got there's like 12 takes in the whole film, and each take the camera is one shot, it doesn't move, and then each
Huh?
each scene is say 6 minutes or 7 minutes long, and then they just edited those 12 takes together and made this really interesting film. So yeah, you
Hmm.
can keep it really, really simple. There's
Hmm.
no excuse really. Just get into it and make
Yeah.
it. And you might surprise yourself
Hmm.
how good it is. or or not. But at least you'll know. You know what I mean? Yeah. So
Yeah.
that'd be my
Yeah.
advice. Just go and do it, and don't. Whenever you do, don't hang around and wait to get lots of money from
Yeah.
organizations.
Hmm.
We've made 3 feature films, and we've applied every year for funding, and I hopefully it
Hmm.
will come one day, but it hasn't yet. So we've made those independent films anyway. If you hang
Hmm.
around and wait for people to give you a big bag of money, you might be waiting a very, very, very long time. Yeah.
Yeah, one thing that I always try to tell people is to make multiple budgets. And I know that they
Right.
probably don't want to make even one budget, but make multiple budgets. So, but make a budget in case you don't make any money,
Yep.
and then make a budget for if you make all the money that you could possibly need to make the film. So then, yeah, hopefully you get the money, and then you've got a plan for it. But if you don't get any funding, it's not going to stop you from making the film.
No, especially if you plan for a simple film, if you plan for something with not too many actors and not too many locations, yeah, you
Hmm.
can do it. I think the biggest barrier for people is the fear that it's not going to be any good, uh,
Hmm.
but that's okay as well. Most
Yeah.
of your favorite filmmakers, who you would probably refer to as masters, would probably be a little embarrassed by their first film.
Hmm.
Most novelists would be a little embarrassed by their first book, all that kind of stuff. Um,
Hmm.
I think the fear is probably what puts most people off rather than finding the money, is the fear of making something that they're going to be embarrassed by. But
Yeah.
you, you, you have to do it.
Hmm.
You look at Stanley Kubrick's first movie, he tried to have that burned because he
Yeah.
hated it so much. So, if Stanley Kubrick can lay a turkey, you can as well.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like I think I remember the first feature film script that I ever wrote, which was a long time ago now,
Yeah.
like 10 years ago or something. And I remember when I was writing that script, I was like, "This is so good. This is like such a great film. I'm so excited to make this," or something like that. And
Yeah.
then I don't know. A few years later, I went back and read it. It's like, this is probably the worst thing I've ever read.
Yeah.
Like
Correct.
the sentences don't make any sense.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
And I mean, I like to think that I've improved since then. So
Yeah, hopefully, we all do,
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
hopefully, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sending out these gibberish scripts to people.
Yeah, okay, yeah. You have to do it. You have to,
Yeah.
yeah, and
Hmm.
I think the culture in Australia is, let's take 7 years to make one film. You can't get good at something that you do once every 7 years. Like, it's
Yeah.
impossible, especially
Yeah.
something like filmmaking that's so much going on inside that art form.
Hmm.
You literally cannot do it once every 7 years and expect to turn out something incredible. People are gonna
Yeah.
be ringing your phone and coming to your house, carrying you off into the clouds, you know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
it's in your interest to make a couple of ordinary movies. There's nothing wrong with
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
They
Um,
probably they probably look at people like like Tarantino or something, who kind of do a movie every 7 years or something, and just assume that that's how you do it. But I mean, that's how the bigger films would probably do it. But yeah,
yeah.
when you're just starting out, you don't need that much.
His very first movie, I think, was called My Best Friend's Birthday, and he
Hmm.
made that, and he ended up throwing it out because it took him
All
3
right.
years to make it, and it ended up being an absolute, yeah, it was unwatchable, apparently.
I've never heard of it.
Yeah, it was a black and white movie that he made, and it was, he couldn't afford to develop the film until, like, the 2nd year, and then when he developed the film, he was like, "Oh, Jesus, what have I done here? This is terrible," but he learned how to make films, so
Yeah.
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 But I think, I mean, even him, he's up to 10 films in 30 years, so he's a he's making one every 3 years, I suppose. He's not taking
Mm-hmm.
7 years.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, I think the key to making a film is to make a film, as simple as that sounds, but yeah. And you might surprise yourself, it might be absolutely wonderful, so,
Yeah.
but you'll never
Yeah.
know. Yeah,
Hmm.
my worst film is 10 times better than the film that you haven't made. It's a lifelong kind of, pursuit, especially if you're writing as well. Like, if you're a songwriter, you've gotta write those 50 first songs that aren't very good. had to get them out of your system, kind of thing, you know.
Before this interview, I didn't actually realize that you were a musician.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
What do you do? Do you sing or guitar or?
Yeah, singing acoustic guitar. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. That's awesome.
Well, thank you.
To finish off, just let people know a bit about, what you've got coming up.
Oh yeah, we've got our Frederickstown movie coming that we're shooting. Oh geez, Aiden, I've got Ian Hales calling. I had an 11:30 meeting.
Oh yeah, no problem. All right, you go for it. Thanks for today, and yeah, I'll talk to you later.